Okay, this is day 2 of chapter 8. We're going to be going over basic distance, midpoint, and circle equations. So first thing we're going to start with is distance between 2 points. So in order to do distance, you have to be given 2 points. We call them P sub 1, whose coordinates are x1, y1, and P sub 2, whose coordinates are x2, y2. The distance formula, which oftentimes is represented by a lowercase d, is a large square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So let's do an example. And some of your problems will show points on an axis. Others of them will show points that are on a graph. It doesn't really change your approach. So let's say that one point is 0, -1, and the other one is 4, 3. So first thing you do is write your points down, 0, -1, 4, 3, and then you designate x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we put them into our formula. So distance is the difference of the x's, so x2 minus x1, 4 minus 0 squared, plus the differences in the y's, 3 minus a -1 squared. And you have a double negative here, one for the -1, one for the formula. A negative times a negative is a positive. And then we start to simplify. So 4 minus 0 is 4, that's squared. 3 plus 1 is 4, that's squared. Now do the exponent. 4 squared is 16. And 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 is 8 times 4. So 2, 2, 2 for the 8. 2, 2 for the 4. 2 2's, 1 comes out. 2 2's, 1 comes out. You get 4 radical 2 as your distance. Okay, Roman numeral 2, we're going to find the midpoint between 2 points. Okay, so for midpoint, you start with the same thing as distance formula. You are given 2 points, P sub 1, which is designated x1, y1, and point 2, P sub 2, designated x2, y2. The midpoint of 2 points, x and y, is the average of the x's. So to find the average, you add them together, x1 plus x2 divide by 2, and the average of the y's, y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divided by 2. All right, let's do an example. Let's say you're given the point 0, -3, and you're given the point -8, 5. So start by designating your points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we put them into the formula. So average of the x's, so 0 plus a -8 divided by 2. Average of the y's, -3 plus 5 divided by 2. So simplifying this, a positive times a negative is a negative. So I have -8 over 2 and 2 over 2, which is -4, 1. And that is the midpoint in between those 2 points. Okay, so some of your examples are going to have mixed numbers or fractions like this one. 2 and 8/9, 3/4. 1, 1 and 3/10. So start by converting the mixed numbers to improper. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 8 is 6, so 26. So 26 over 9, 3/4 is fine. We have 1, and then 10 times 1 is 10, plus 3 is 13/10. Okay, we're going to find the midpoint. So designate your points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and put them into the formula. So average of the x's, so 26 over 9 plus 1 all over 2. And then average of the y's, 3/4 plus 13/10, all over 2. Okay, so to add the top fractions together, we need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 1 by 9/9. That gives me 26/9 plus 9/9 divided by 2. On the second one, between 4 and 10, 20 is the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the first one by 5/5, the second one by 2/2. That will give me 15/20 plus 26/20 divided by 2. All right, add your fractions. 26 plus 9 is 35/9 divided by 2. 15 plus 26 is 41/20 divided by 2. Now, to get rid of the double fraction, you multiply the bottom by its reciprocal, which is 1/2. That means you multiply the top by the same thing. The bottom cancels out, and I have 35/18 left on the top. Do the same for the second one. Multiply the bottom by its reciprocal, which is 1/2, and the top by the same thing. The bottom cancels out. You get 41/40. And those are both reduced and improper, so you are done. All right, there are a couple of those on your assignment, so now you have a model to follow. Okay, Roman numeral 3, we're going to do the equation of a circle. And I'm going to use my compass to draw a circle. You can use the a juice lid or a roll of tape, whatever you need to get you a circle. All right, let's start with the body parts of a circle. The name of the circle is the name of the center point. It's always capitalized. We're going to call it capital C. So our figure is called circle capital C. The distance from the center to the edge at any place on the edge, so any line that we draw from the center to the edge, lowercase r designates the radius of the circle. If you have a segment that goes from edge through the center to the edge, this is the D diameter. And usually the diameter measurements are somewhere close to the middle versus a radius measurement, which will be out in the middle of one of the two side segments. So the diameter and the radius are related. As you can see, a diameter is 2 radii added together. So diameter equals 2 times the radius, and radius equals 1/2 times the diameter. So you can switch back and forth between them pretty easily. All right, standard form of a circle. Given circle C with coordinate x1, y1, and given radius lowercase r, your circle formula is x minus x sub 1 squared plus y minus y sub 1 squared equals r squared. And that is your standard form of a circle. All right, let's do some examples of circle problems. First, we're just going to interpret an equation. So let's say you've got x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 16. And you want to know the center of the circle and the radius. Okay, so remember that the formula is x minus x sub 1. So your center point will have the opposite sign from the one you're looking at. So the x coordinate won't be a negative 1, it will be a positive 1. And the y coordinate will be a negative 3, so opposite signs on both. To find the radius, you have to remember that this number on the right is r squared. So if r squared equals 16, we take a square root, 2 r's, 1 comes out. 16 is 4 times 4, So 2/4 come out, which means our radius is 4. So you have to take a square root of that to get the radius. Okay, example 2, let's build a circle. Given center C, which is 2, -5, and radius radical 3, we're going to write the equation of a circle. So first let's write the formula. X minus x sub 1 squared plus y minus y sub 1 squared equals r squared. Okay, substitute in the center. So x minus 2 squared plus y minus a -5 squared equals the radius, radical 3 squared. Okay, we need to do some simplifying. A negative times a negative is a positive. So that gives me x minus 2 squared plus y plus 5 quantity squared equals. Now, over here, you're multiplying radical 3 times radical 3. So the 3's get combined under one radical, and 2 3's, 1 comes out. So your radius is 3. That is your formula. Okay, Roman numeral 4. We're going to find the area and the circumference. Circumference is reserved for circles. Everything else is perimeter, but for a circle, circumference is the distance around. Okay, we're going to start with area. So there's a formula for area. Area equals pi times r squared. So for example, let's say that your radius is 7 inches. You're going to substitute that into the equation. And you get area equals pi times 7 inches squared. So 7 times 7 is 49. Tag the pi, and then inches times inches is inches squared, or square inches. When you're talking area, you have length and width. It's always the unit squared. On your worksheet, they're going to want you to find exact answers, and your exact answers have pi in them. You do not use 3.14 or any other decimal. Okay, let's do another example. Let's say that the diameter of your circle is 12 feet. So remember, area equals pi r squared. Substitute the d in, the diameter, except that we don't have diameter. We have radius. So we need to find the radius. Remember that radius is half the diameter. So our radius is half of 12 feet, which is 6 feet. So when I substitute in, pi is pi, I'm going to have 6 feet squared. Okay, simplifying that, 6 times 6 is 36. Tag the pi, feet times feet is feet squared. And that's our area, 36 pi feet squared. Okay, the very last area is circumference of a circle. So B is circumference, which is spelled with an F, not a PH. And your circumference is the distance around the circle. So it's still length, it's just going around the circle. Okay, your equation for circumference is 2 times pi times r. So for example, let's say your radius is 5 inches. So that means that your circumference is 2 times pi times 5 inches, which simplifies to 10 pi inches. Again, circumference is distance, so the unit is just inches, not inches squared. All right, last example before we wrap this up. I'm going to draw a little circle over here. So some of your calculations are going to be done from a drawing. So this one says 24 yards. Now, because the 24 is in the middle of this segment, you know it's the diameter. So the diameter of my circle is 24 yards. If it was the radius, it would be here or here. And that's how you can tell the difference. All right, we're going to find the circumference. Circumference is 2 times pi times r. We know that the radius is half the diameter. So if I substitute in 24 for diameter, a half of 24 yards is 12 yards, and that is my radius. So substitute 12 into the equation. Circumference equals 2 times pi times 12 yards, which is 24 pi yards. That is your answer. Are there any questions?